Hey everyone, Tim Lemoine, brokerage manager at Risk and Insurance Associates, continuing with our marketing series for you. We've got Ryan Tracy with us again, wholesaler for RIA. Today we're going to talk about something that is super important and it just is missed within the industry. And we're going to try to help you save a lot of time, set the expectations with yourself, set the expectations with your clients, and just get tickets move through faster for you and faster for your clients. Today's topic is field underwriting. Super, super important. Everybody in the industry is missing the boat on it. The better we can do it, the better you can get at it. The faster the cases are going to go through. Your placement ratios are going to go up, and you're just going to have a better overall experience. So Ryan, field underwriting. Why is it so important, and why is it important to get really good at it?
Tim, like you said, being good at field underwriting provides a better experience for you and your clients. So if you can ask the appropriate questions up front, we can more accurately give them an estimate on price and find the right carrier for them, because a lot of carriers don't judge certain health conditions the same way. Some view them more favorably and some a little bit more negatively. So if we can find the right carrier the first time, it's a smoother process for everybody.
Got it. So here's the big question, right? I mean, field underwriting can just go into a massive rabbit hole, right? That some of us just don't want to get into with our clients.
Right.
But what tools do we have? How can we help advisors get to just knowing the basic information to help them submit a case to the right carriers? How can we help them?
It's a great question. So Tim, we have a field underwriting guide on the Risk Associates website, and I'm going to show you guys where to find it and how to use it. So here I am, I'm logged into riskassociates.com in Solution Center, and you click on the Underwriting tab, and the field underwriting guide pops right up. You can print it out, bring it to a meeting with your client, or have it on your desk if you'd like while you're meeting face-to-face with the client. And I think this is a great resource to have and work off of. I still use it sometimes. It has some basic questions that all carriers want answered. So their name, date of birth, height, have they lost weight in the past 12 months? That is an important question to ask. Tobacco, nicotine, or marijuana use. I think that's a really great way to ask this question, because not all carriers view certain tobacco products or nicotine products the same. Some carriers view cigar smoking and cigarette smoking differently. Some will view them the exact same. Family history, motor vehicle history. Has the client had any driving speed violations, accidents, DUIs, or DWIs in the past? Criminal history is one I often don't ask people. But again, that is an important question to ask. Do they travel outside the country? Do they file for bankruptcy? All carriers want to know the answers to this. Those are questions that advisors or agents often miss or forget to ask. They ask height and weight, they ask medication, but they won't ask criminal history, driving history, or if they travel outside the country. The last one is current medications. I think that's a great way to ask the question. Does the client take any medications? If you ask, are you healthy? What I find is most clients will say yes. And I think that's just because no one wants to believe they're not healthy or in good health. So asking, are you taking any medications? Or are you prescribed any medications is a more direct way to ask that. Now, there's a follow-up question to that. If they say yes, what conditions are they prescribed for? Because a lot of medications can be prescribed for their FDA approved usage or for an off-label use. And we want to know what is the condition that is being treated, not just what medication is being prescribed. And then for other health conditions, there are follow-up questions here that you can use. You know, if they don't have any heart problems, then you can skip that section. If they do, there are follow-up questions here.
We're not going to find everything, right? Like we said,
Correct.
the underwriting process can really dig into the client's past, especially when they start ordering doctor's records. But the point is, the carriers are going to find out one way or another, right? I mean, with the electronic history right now, with the ability to research and just have access to information, the carriers are going to find it. So it's better that we ask these up front. And it might be uncomfortable in the beginning asking your client, have you filed for bankruptcy? Do you use marijuana? If so, how often and what type are you using? But it's very important that we're asking those questions because some carriers just want to know. They don't want to be surprised by things, right? And the more we surprise a carrier during the underwriting process, the more often than not, the underwriter is gonna stray towards a worse rating for that client. Whereas if we just supply the information up front, they're thankful for that, and that's less work and it's less questioning from the underwriter.
You're absolutely right. Underwriters are people too. If we can get out in front of something and say, yes, I filed for bankruptcy and this is the case, and include a nice cover letter explaining the situation, they're going to view that more favorably than if we don't admit to it and then they find out that there was bankruptcy and now the underwriter is wondering what else is not being disclosed to us.
And not to
So
mention, your client's going to be a little embarrassed to have to come back and say, why are you asking me about a bankruptcy that happened 4 years ago when this is life insurance? And really the carrier's looking at as a lifestyle, right? If more times than not, people who have filed for bankruptcy have health conditions due to stress and just due to the lifestyle that they're living. That's not an opinion; those are statistics that carriers have gathered over time. So it's very important that we are asking these questions. So Ryan, an agent now gets this information, they meet with the client, they fill out some or all of this sheet. What's next? What do they do next? How do they get this information over to us?
So the next steps would be to send it into the sales desk. You can email me directly, David directly, if you work with one of us, or the lifesales@riskassociates.com inbox. And Dave and I will work on that. We'll look at this and answer your questions and give you an estimated health rating or a range of health ratings that they might fall under, or come back to you with more questions, more specific questions about the date, let's say when a health condition arose, how it's being treated, or more specifics about it.
And Ryan, we send that in anonymously to the carriers. We're not putting clients' names on this. We're just sending them an anonymous client. We've got a person who fits this mold, correct?
That is correct. So if we do send that into a carrier, we don't include the client's name or social security number, any personal information, just their age or date of birth and the health conditions listed.
And we generally know what carriers are going to be accepting of certain conditions or things that are on that sheet. So we might send it to 3 or 5 carriers and get a good feel for what's going to happen there. How long does that take to get back, Ryan?
Depending on the carrier, it could be the same day, could be 3 days later.
Got it. So at most 3 days time, gather the information up front, send it into the team, wait a couple days, and then we're going to give you what we think is the best opportunity to get this case through, given those needs, rather than let's send in to the best price carrier and cross our fingers and hope nothing happens, and then we have a lot of back end work, or maybe even a decline or an unfavorable rating with a carrier that we never should have submitted the business to in the beginning.
Correct. And I think that doing this work up front, the work has to get done. It's going to get done one way or another. So asking these questions up front is less stressful for you and the client. It's easier. It's a more pleasant experience. If we can find the right carrier the first time, do one application instead of, I'll give you a good example. We had a client who submitted an app with a certain carrier who used marijuana. They were declined with that initial carrier. We found out that information. We found a different carrier that was more accepting of that, and they got approved at a preferred rating. So they went from a decline to a preferred. If we do this work up front, we could have skipped the initial work, the initial decline, and the stress. The agent was worried he was going to lose the case. The client was not really happy getting the decline letter. So, I always tell people to do that work up front, ask those questions as soon as possible.
We've all had our problem cases in the past. We've all had the uncomfortable conversation with clients. It's going to happen sometimes. We don't have to do this with every case, right? We are going to have those healthy clients that we just know are going to get through the process. But if you're ever worried or you're just not sure of where to go to, use the tools, use the team, and we'll make sure we get it into a good spot for you.
Absolutely. And depending on the health condition, we have more specific questionnaires too. If they do have a certain health condition that we need a lot more information on, we like to include those questions, the specifics of the case and the health condition, to help you ask those questions as a guide rail of what we need to best quote you and your client.
Thank you. This is an incredible resource. If you aren't using it, if you've been using it and you want to get better at it, please work with us. Our wholesaling team, Ryan and Dave, if you're not comfortable asking those questions with your clients, we'll get on the phone and do it with you or for you. We've been doing it for a very long time. We're just a little bit, we're comfortable, in that conversation, and we can explain why it is important in that. So email the lifesales@riskassociates.com, email Ryan direct, email Dave directly if you're working with him on some certain cases. Use this tool. We're going to get your placement ratios up. We're going to get you a better experience, with us, and give your client a better experience through the process as well. Thanks so much for joining us. Don't forget to find us on LinkedIn, find us on YouTube. If you're new to us, register with us at riskassociates.com. We'll get you going. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you all next time. Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Tim.